Hello friends, welcome to UPSC Logics and my name is Siddharth and today I am going to discuss the Nehru Report 1928. So in November 1927, the British government appointed the Simon Commission to review the working of Government of India Act 1919 and to propose the constitutional reforms for India. So the commission did not have a single Indian member and this irked the leaders of the nationalist movement. So while the British acknowledged the discontent, it did not consider making any changes to the composition of the commission and instead asked the Indians to prove that they could draw up a constitution themselves, and a similar challenge was made in 1925 by Lord Birkenhead, the Secretary of State for India in the House of Lords. So the leaders of the nationalist movement responded to the challenge by drafting the Nehru Report. So let us have a look at the Nehru Report and what it had to say. So let us have a look at the background of this Nehru Report. And in December 1927, in the Madras session, the Indian National Congress took two major decisions. In response to the setting up of the Simon Commission, number one was that it decided not to cooperate with the commission, and number two was to set up an all-parties conference to draft a constitution for India. And the all-parties conference was convened in Delhi on February 12, 1928, which was attended by representatives of 29 organizations. After that, at the Bombay meeting in May 19, 1928, the All Parties Conference appointed a committee under Motilal Nehru as its chairman and Jawaharlal Nehru as the secretary to consider and determine the principles of the Indian Constitution. The report was presented in the fourth session of the all-party meeting that was held in Lucknow in August 1928, and the central theme of the committee's recommendation was on the assumption that the country's new constitution would be based on the fact that the British would provide dominion status to India. So let us now have a look at the key points of the report. And number one was that India should be given dominion status with a parliamentary form of government with a bicameral legislature that consisted of a Senate and House of Representatives. Number two was that the Senate would comprise of the 200 members elected for 7 years, while the House of Representatives should consist of 500 members elected for 5 years, and the Governor General will act on the advice of the Executive Council and it would be collectively responsible to the Parliament. Number three was that there should be a federal form of government in India with residuary powers to be vested in the center, and there will be no separate electorate for the minorities because it awakens communal sentiments, and therefore it should be scrapped and a joint electorate should be introduced. Number four was that there should be no reserved seats for communities in Punjab and Bengal. However, a reservation of Muslim seats could be possible in the provinces where Muslim population was less than 10%. Number five was that the judiciary should be independent from the executive. And number six was that there should be one-fourth Muslim representation at center. And number seven was that Sindh should be separated from Bombay, provided it proves to be financially self-sufficient. Now this report was along with that of the Simon Commission was available to the participants in the three round table conferences from 1930 to 1932, and the Government of India Act 1935 owes much to Simon Commission report and very little to the Nehru report. So this particular report was presented in front of the all party convention that was held in Calcutta, and there was a violent clash between Jinnah, who was representing the Muslim League, and M.R. Jaikar, who put forward the Hindu Mahasabha viewpoint. So Jinnah demanded that, among other things, one-third of the total seats at the center should belong to the Muslims instead of the one-fourth seats as proposed in the Nehru report. And Jaikar questioned Jinnah's locus standi as a representative of the Muslims and warned the convention against going back on the report. So consequently, Jinnah proposed amendments and came up with the 14-point report as he was overwhelmingly outvoted at the Calcutta Convention. So this was also the beginning of the dispute that started between the Muslim League and the Indian National Congress. Now, as we know that Jinnah was quite upset with the kind of Muslim representation that was suggested by the Nehru report. So let us have a look at a question, and the question says, was Nehru report a reversal of the Lucknow Pact? So let us understand what the Lucknow Pact was first. And it was an agreement that was reached between the Indian National Congress and the Muslim League at the joint session of both the parties that was held in Lucknow in December 1916. So through the pact, the two parties had agreed to allow over-representation to religious minorities in the provincial legislatures. And the Congress had agreed to a separate electorate for Muslims in electing representatives to the imperial and provincial legislative councils. And although the Muslims were given this right in the Indian Councils Act of 1909, the Indian National Congress opposed it. The Congress also agreed to the idea of one-third seats for the Muslims in the councils, despite the fact that the Muslim population represented less than a third. So apart from that, the Congress had agreed that no act affecting a community should be passed unless three-quarters of that community's members on the council supported it. This was the Lucknow Pact. Now let us have a look at the fact whether it was a reversal of the Lucknow Pact or how it nullified the pact. So Motilal Nehru Committee report that was published in 1928 had recommended reservation of seats for Muslims only in provinces where they were a minority. So the report proposed to abolish separate electorates, to discard the reservation of seats for Muslim majorities in Punjab and Bengal, and to reject the principle of weightage for Muslim minorities. So this is how this was a reversal of the Lucknow Pact. I hope you have understood it. So this brings us to the end of the Nehru Report, and in the next video we shall have a look at the Jinnah's 14 points. So thank you so much for watching, and if you're watching it for the first time and have enjoyed watching this video, do like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to get the latest notifications from UPSC Logics. So thank you so much and Jai Hind.